This video is to show you how to get your dog used to a collar hold or a harness hold, both of which are inevitably going to happen at some stage in your puppy or your dog's life. There's going to be an occasion where you have to reach in, hold on to them by their collar, yes, for whatever reason. And if it's going to happen in a real life situation, you mightn't be entirely gentle. You might have rushed to do it. You might be holding a little firmly. And it's only fair that we get our dogs a bit used to that, but all while being very respectful to their body language and to the dog in front of us. So I have a 13-year-old with arthritis in her shoulders. So the way I do it would be super, super gentle. You may be able to go for a little bit longer, a hold, and ruffle a little bit more than I am. Every dog is different, but if we understand their body language, then we can't get it wrong. But let's get them used to that, because it may happen and it mightn't be us doing it. There's times a member of the public might hold on to your dog, and we want your dog to have a positive association with that, not to freak out and go, oh my God, no one's ever done that to me before, and now I'm going to get really scared and the situation's going to be bigger than it had to be. So very, very simply, pop your dog's equipment on really slowly and gently. And when you're ready, you're going to have your food in your pouch. You're going to reach in very gently to one side. I would get down to your dog's level. You're going to reach into one side, gently hold their collar, yes, and reward. So mark and reward them for that. I'm going to chuck the food away as a nice way to know that when she comes back, she is saying, yes, I'm happy to do that again. That wasn't too worrying. I'll try to get her to the side so you can see her collar a bit better. Give me a pup. But very simply, you gently reach in, yes, and reward. So you're literally just lightly touching the collar. There's no pressure, there's no duration for that first rep. And give her a moment of pause before I rush back in. Yes! And you can see that she's clocking it's happening, but she's not backing away. If she was, I would stop. So I'll go for another couple of reps. So I'm reaching in gently. I'm going to maybe slip my hands under the collar. A little bit of a ruffle. Yes! And reward. She was just about telling me that was too much, so I'll clock that for the next rep and go a bit easier. Problem is my hands are getting covered in this salmon pate. You can lick that off. Okay, so I reach in gently, give it a little ruffle, yes, and reward. And that's as far as I'm going to go with her on that side. I want to give her a moment's pause. I don't want to rush straight into it. Give her the chance to shake off and move away if she wants. And then I'm just going to try the other side. So I'm thinking of both sides, underneath and then over the top, but maybe not all in one session. Every dog is different. You've got to read where they're at. So I'll reach into the other side. Yes, and reward. And yes, I do have my reward pouch at the front. It is a bit of a lure, but it's just to let her know there is food coming. So if you're happy with what we're doing, so I'm going to just reach in gently. I'm going to go to the front. Yes, and reward. And that's all I want you to do. Very, very gently touch it. Progress if the dog is comfortable to maybe slipping your fingers up through the collar. Progress if your dog is comfortable to a bit of duration where you hold the collar gently. You might give it a little bit of a ruffle, but anything from then that suggests that's too far, go back the next rep to a simpler version. We don't want to poison, we don't want to make them worried by a collar hold. We want the whole thing to be positive and for the dog to be happy to hang around for it. Little bit of troubleshooting. If the minute you reach in, your dog backs away, don't progress, don't keep at it, don't go after them. They've got to have choice in this. If they back away, they're telling you that right to here is too much, that's fine. You can just break down the steps. You can reach in a little bit, mark yes, and then reward. And you're marking yes and rewarding that you were able to reach in a little bit towards them, but you didn't go any further, you didn't spook them and they hung around and it was all good. Reach in a little bit further. My hands stink of pate now. Come here, darling. Sometimes put one hand away can help the dog. Reach in a little bit further. mark yes and reward. And then maybe over the reps, you'll get to reach right in and touch lightly. Yes, and reward. But that mightn't happen straight away. It depends. If your dog already has negative associations to their collar or harness, you reaching at them may already be worrisome and you might have to break things right the way down. I always think of it, if you've filmed yourself or videoed yourself reaching right in and touching your dog's harness, if that's the end goal, well, what would be all the little kind of still frames on the way there? Take each of those and mark and reward your dog for that. So what are the little progressions towards that end touch? It's a hand slightly in, a hand further in, light touch, and then the hold. So it might just take you a bit of time to get there. Another bit of troubleshooting, if you have a very nippy or bitey puppy, really nice thing to do is to very simply, for the first little while, pair the hand coming in to touch with the food hand coming in at the same time. It's a little bit of a distraction. So I'll come in to touch. When I've touched, I'll mark yes and I'll release the food. And hopefully I've directed that puppy mouth to the food, but they've experienced the touch and the food at the same time. So it's been a positive experience. I'll show you that one more time. So the food and the hand to touch come in at the same time. This hand will touch, this hand will feed. Yes, and reward whenever you have actually made contact with the collar. And then over time you can start to reach in, touch, and then get the food. But don't rush it. Make it positive. Make sure you know where your dog's at. Make sure you can read your dog. That's vital. If you see tongue flicks, if you see yawning, if they back away, all of that is saying, whew, bit uncomfortable here. I need you to go slower. If within this period the dog maybe backed off and shook off, I would give them a break and I would go and train something else. I'd do some touch or something like that just to break that tense energy a little bit if that was there. But have a go, take your time, be gentle. The end goal is just that we can have a dog where we can reach in, we can hold for a few moments while something goes past, and it's not the end of the world to your dog. They're okay with that. We always try not to do it quickly. We'll always try not to do it roughly. There might be times that happens, and at least if we've got them used to some gentle holds, it won't be the end of the world. Yes! Good girl. Hi. Good girl.